Hello everyone, it's Bon and welcome back to my little space online. In this video, I wanted to showcase some of my favorite photos and videos that I took while visiting New York last fall. I visited New York because one of my photos got selected to be part of the Lomography pop-up for Lomochrome Color 92 at the Penumbra Foundation in Manhattan. I just thought this doesn't happen every day, and I wanted to see my photos displayed alongside other photos from awesome lomographers. Shout out to the wonderful folks that I met during that pop-up, by the way, like Birgit and Elena from Lomography, and the other photographers who had their photos on display like Nick, Dylan, and Yuki. The pop-up was just one night, but I decided to stay for a few more days because hey, it's New York. Might as well make it count, right? I brought a few cameras with me as usual, but my main camera was the Minolta XD. While I own better cameras like the Leica M6, I decided to bring my Minolta XD that I personalized myself, just to give it some love. My first 35mm film camera was a Minolta SRT-201, so the Minolta SR system will always have a special place in my heart. I guess I'm sentimental like that. I shot this first set of photos at Dumbo, Brooklyn as recommended by some of the other photographers at the Lomography pop-up event. I lucked out with the quality of light that afternoon, and of course, I had to take the iconic photos of the Manhattan Bridge myself. The film I used is a roll of Lomography Color -400, but I accidentally shot it at ISO 800, so I had to get it pushed one stop during development. There were a few images that were a bit underexposed, but I think most of them still turned out great. I brought two lenses for my Minolta XD, the MD Rokkor 50mm f1.4, which is my favorite lens for the system, and the MC rokkor-pf 135mm f2.8. I mostly used the 50mm lens, but I used the 135 for those tighter shots. The sunset that day was stunning. If you've been following along my videos, you probably know that I also went to Central Park. Again, I loaded my Minolta XD with Lomography Color -400, but this time I shot it at 200. I was very lucky that the trees at Central Park still had foliage when I visited. I got to relish upon the vivid fall colors. It was quite the sight. While I was at Central Park, I also took photos on Lomography Color -400 film, but using my Kodak Arctur H35N. Now, I already made a video about that, so please check that out if you're interested to see more of my photos. But here are some of my few favorites. As for what I took photos of, I didn't really have any plans. I just took photos of what I thought looked interesting or beautiful. I mostly used my 50mm lens as usual, especially to take establishing shots to get a feel of the space, But as you'll see later on, I also switched to my 135mm lens to take details or subjects that are a bit further away. I think the highlight of my walk at Central Park was the Bethesda Terrace. The light was so magical then, although I feel like I didn't really capture it well on the 50mm lens. Times like that, having a wider lens would have been better for sure. But just look at that light. It's beautiful. Okay, this is where I want to come clean because I kind of regret shooting this film at 200 ISO in this bright sunlight. These photos were quite overexposed, but nothing I couldn't fix in post. While this film is no Portra 400 for sure, it still gives you leeway for editing if you mess up your exposure settings. Lomography Color Negative 400 has always been one of my go-to film stocks. It's very vibrant with rich tones and it doesn't skew warm nor cold. It's kind of like Kodak Ultramax 400 but with a more vintage vibe. But while I wish I could still say that it's a cheap film, it's really not that cheap anymore and I actually found that Kodak Ultramax tend to be cheaper nowadays. Speaking of film stocks, I've been shooting a lot more cinema film lately. I really like Reflex Lab 400D, which is respooled from fresh rolls of Kodak Vision 3 250D with the remjet layer removed. This means that it can be easily processed by most labs in C41 chemistry. But this also means that you'll get that reddish halation on bright light sources. Now, this isn't a look that I'd always want in my photos, but I think they could spice up some photos, like these ones. I don't worry a lot about this characteristic though, because most of the time, this film renders quite normally with barely noticeable halation, if not at all. Anyways, I really enjoyed my stay in New York. Now, I'm definitely romanticizing it a bit because it has a lot of flaws. But I was so delighted by the liveliness of the city that I felt like I had to take photos of everything. Here's a few more that I shot at night. I actually have a lot more photos that I took on my Fujifilm TX1 and XD4, but I think I'm gonna end this video here. So please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more if you liked it. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.
The summer kisses, the sunburned hand I used to hold. Since you went away, the nights go long, and soon I'll hear a winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, I'm gonna do something weird.
Sorry? Is that okay? Sorry.